Chill or Be Chilled by TotalSkeletonTrash. Chapter 9, in which it is revealed that you own a Roku because Apple TVs are too expensive. You're pretty sure this isn't what most parties are like. Well, then again, you were never really a party person. Sure, you went to your share, but you mostly stuck to the sidelines because, well, you got invites, but it wasn't really like you were tight with those people. And yeah, especially in high school, you just always felt so much older than your classmates. You didn't have time to waste on figuring out who was going to kiss whom when you were busy making sure you and Ghost had enough to eat. That was not an issue at this gathering. On top of all the snacks you and Undine had bought, Alphys had brought over a pizza and a big box of Pocky. Papyrus kept running to the kitchen to pull pasta dishes from the oven. Some of them actually looked quite good. And Sans had disappeared somewhere only to return with a tray of mini quiches. You spent a few minutes trying to figure out where he possibly could have put them, then popped the top off a beer and decided not to worry too much. All the food and drink was laid out on your mother's pride and joy, an antique claw-foot banquet table you dragged in with Papyrus's help. Finally, everything in the kitchen was done cooking, and you tossed the Roku remote to Alphys so she could pull up whatever anime she wanted, settling back on the couch and balancing your plate on your knee. This time you were on the right, Sans was in the middle, and Papyrus was on the left, while Undine and Alphys shared the love seat. So we're doing this, huh? Sans sounded a little skeptical. You shared a commiserating glance with him as Alphys defended herself.
I don't know which one everyone would like best, but anime is really great, so I think you'll like it, Sans.
He's never bothered to hang out with us when we watch it before. Undine's innocent tone was beginning to terrify you. Every time she used it, it was a harbinger of bad news. Sure enough, she added, "Guess there must have been something special about this time to make him come." She raised an eyebrow and took a sip of her beer. "Guess the stars aligned," Sans said with a shrug, glancing over his shoulder through the picture window, where the first stars really were just starting to come out. Undine scowled at him, and Sans gave her a placid smile. Sans's parka had come off once you got settled in, and the fire in the hearth began to really heat the room up. Did he get hot? And he looked at home on your couch in his black t-shirt and basketball shorts, sipping from a glass of Tabasco and pushing a few pretzels around on his plate.
Oh, I've always wanted to see this one. If that's okay."
Alphys spoke up, her eyes wide as she took in the screen. You glanced back at the TV. "Of course, whatever you want, Alphys," you assured her. "What's a host club?" You found out what a host club was. You weren't sure who loved the show most. Alphys was blushing and giggling basically the entire time. Undine loved the protagonist so much that she was brought to squeals several times. Papyrus was absolutely enchanted with the idea of a group of chivalrous young men who were so good at first dates they got paid for it. Sans kept snickering and glancing up to check your reaction. Even if you hadn't enjoyed the show, you would have been smiling this wide. God, it felt so good to have people around for once. There hadn't been this much brightness, metaphorically, you were watching TV after all, and joy and cheer for so long. Not in this house. The only interruption had been the dramatic arrival of Ghost, who finally came out from hiding to storm in, looking imperiously at all of you, trying to figure out how on earth you could think it was acceptable to be in his house.
"Ghosty, come here, bud,"
you whispered, bending down at the waist, wiggling your fingers invitingly. Ghost dying to come over, the entire time doing his best to appear that he just happened to be heading towards you, and he was planning on going over there anyway, thank you very much. You grinned, and when he got close enough, scooped him up, plopping him on your lap and leaning back against the couch. Oh, Sans's arm was there now. You narrow your eyes at the skeleton's cheesy move, and he grins a positively evil grin at you, knowing you well enough by now, surely, to know you're not going to draw attention to the situation by saying anything. Fine, Sans. You're sure you're as red as a fire truck or a scarlet macaw, but you decide two can play at that game. Snuggle a little closer, and then, feeling his eyes on you, ignore him, instead lavishing attention on the kitty. Ghost begins to rumble with purrs, barely audible over Papyrus's excited gasp. You smile slowly and scratch under his chin, earning a slightly louder purr. Sans' skull is tilted at you, but when you dart a glance at him, he's no longer smirking, and is instead studying the cat. It looks different out of the cage, he murmurs.
Well, yeah, he would.
You laugh, but quietly.
Come on, I thought you knew all about cats. You made all those jokes at the vet.
I guess I see a lot of them on the internet. Sans whispers. They're funny up close, though.
Oh, yeah?
You laugh. The import of what he just said then dawns on you. You'd thought that all monsters were totally naive to the human internet. That's why everyone had come here in the first place. Apparently, that wasn't actually the case for every monster. He gives you another totally guilt-free smile and you roll your eyes. It was kind of cute that he'd chosen not to speak up just so he'd have an excuse to come over. And, well, you were beginning to get the sense that wherever he and Paps were living wasn't exactly suited for entertaining. The thought worried you. For once, Sans didn't notice when your expression clouded over. He was still studying the cat. Very tentatively, he stretched out his free hand so Ghost could examine his fingers. Ghost pushed up a little, craning his neck so he could sniff at the strange new objects. Sans held very still. After almost a minute of examination, Ghost yawned and butted his head against Sans' hand, clearly irritated that he wasn't being pet. Sans jumped slightly, then looked up at you cautiously.
Just scratch under his chin. He loves that.
You whisper. Sans looks dubious, but does as advised, running white bones through the soft gray fur. Ghost resumes purring like a motor, and after a minute shocks you by climbing off your lap and onto Sans's.
Hey, he really likes you,
you whisper. Undyne squeals from the love seat, and you pray it's because of something in the show. You don't dare to look over to see if she has noticed his bony arm around your shoulders. Sans is frozen still, eyeing the cat nervously. You reach over and stroke Ghost's back reassuringly. After a minute, Sans resumes scratching under his chin. You're not quite sure how it happens when his hand moves to cover yours, but you rest it there, feeling the smooth bones on your skin and his arm around you. For just now, you're allowed to enjoy this. For just now, everybody's staying exactly where they are. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, hit the like button to let me know and subscribe to see what I make next. Links in the description lead to the original fic posted on AO3, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi. If you like my stuff, please consider supporting me. Every little bit helps. Lastly, if you have a request for a recording, whether a one-shot or a series, let me know in the comments. I also do commissions, details of which are on my Patreon. So keep in touch. Bye!